but editing is, for me, it's like translating. You know, if you're translating from Icelandic to English or vice versa, you can't always use the same sentences. The same is with taking a script. It's first translated by everyone on set. Everyone is translating that story through their craft. All of this lands on my table, and then you have to translate all of this into a movie.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cut to Reveal, the podcast where we talk about the editing art form and all the hurdles of that career path. I'm Ricky, and as always, I'm here with my co-host, Peter.
Hey everyone. So before we introduce our today's guest, I want to briefly talk about today's episode sponsor, which is Riverside. We used to use Zoom for recording these podcasts, but now we use Riverside, and there are many reasons why we switched.
Yeah, I think the best thing about Riverside is that the quality is way better than Zoom, because Zoom is what you see is what you get. And if you're lagging with the internet and any of that stuff, that is what you get. So it gets all crappy. Whereas with Riverside, it basically records it locally and then uploads it. So it's consistent. So even if it looks like crap while you're recording it, the file that you're going to get is going to be of superior quality. It's going to be consistent and it's going to look good. And it's also going to sound good. Working on other projects for paid clients, I've done the Zoom thing where what you see is what you get. And it's a nightmare to edit with. But with Riverside and when we do this podcast, it's way better. It's way more consistent and it's head and shoulders above Zoom.
Yeah, basically you get the quality of your webcam. And people don't have to, we don't have to record audio locally anymore as well, because it records uncompressed wave. So what you hear right now is recorded with Riverside, not with Audition. That's the way we actually used to do it for the first episodes before we switched. Riverside replaces Zoom for us with all the other features that it has. There are 4 roles: host, guest, audience member, and a producer, which is someone that can adjust setting throughout the recording, but is not being recorded himself. And the producer role is something that I use to record the podcast for my clients as well. I switched to Riverside for editing chef live sessions as well. Yeah, it replaces Zoom completely. And now it's time to introduce our guest, our today's guest. So, Ricky, do you want to do the honor?
Today we talk with Elísabet Ronaldsdóttir, editor of such films as John Wick, Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, Kate, and most recently, probably one of the biggest blockbusters of the summer, Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. We got to talk to her about so many awesome things. She was really amazing. I mean, she's edited over 50 titles and she still loves being an editor, which, I mean, as an editor, that's like a dream job for us anyway. So it doesn't, no surprise there. But it was just fantastic. So I'm going to stop blubbering over this and we're just going to get into it. So let's roll the tape.
I would love to hear how you knew you want to be an editor. Do you have like a specific moment recall?
I didn't know I wanted to be an editor. Very few people know they want to be editors. Yeah. Because what you see is, the director, cinema photography, even sound, all those positions are so visible, and then we're in the dark and you kind of have to grow into it. So I went to film school. I went to London Film School, and I was absolutely set on becoming a cinema photographer. And then just through the school and when I went out working in the business afterwards, I just landed in the editing suite and I loved it. Still love it. Mm-hmm. And even I go and visit sets sometimes, and sometimes you're on set editing, which is not often, but it happens. But then sometimes you go visit. After a day, I'm like, I don't miss it. I just want to go back to my editing suite and nice and quiet with a cup of tea and think about story and
Yeah.
So it's more like editing found me, and I'm very grateful for it. I absolutely feel like I'm in the right place and I still enjoy it. I've edited over 50 feature films, documentary, and animation. It's a lot of titles.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that still today I enjoy it.
Amazing. Speaking about storytelling, there is a perception even in the industry, I think, that like editors do not really like provide insights into story, and like you can even tell about like the way they approached the Oscars this year, right? By neglecting us in the in the live stream, right? So my question to you is like, what are some of the situations you recall that like where you had to lead the story and like help the director to find the story?
Yeah, well, they know the story when they go shooting, but editing is, for me, it's like translating. If you're translating from Icelandic to English or vice versa, you can't always use the same sentences. Sometimes you don't have the words that we have for snow. Like, how am I going to translate that? How am I going, the same as with taking a script. It's first translated by everyone on set. It's the cinematography, costumes, makeup, hair. Everyone is translating that story through their craft. All of this lands on my table. Obviously, everything under the supervision of the director and the producer, studio, who knows. And then you have to translate all of this into a movie. I read the script maybe 3-4 times before we start shooting. Once I get the material, I'm not reading the script. I have to look at, I know the script. This is what I have. How can I translate what I read into the moving images? Telling the same story.
Yeah.
But how can I translate it? And yeah, obviously that's my craft. That's why I'm hired. And when people are like, what do they do? I just want to go check what really good editors get paid. And I can promise you, it's not for pushing buttons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get that cheaper. So
yeah, I've seen some Mandes talking about Lee Smith, who edited 1917, and it's a one-take film, right? But some Mandes, like he said like that one of his best collaborators that contributed to the way the film looks was actually the editor, Lee Smith. And a lot of people were like, come on, it's one take shot. But no, they have no idea about like how many decisions go into like designing that one take shot, like one take movie, into being like an experience that people
absolutely
can,
But the thing is, for me, it's not important like I decided this, I made this decision, this is me, because it's not. It's a collaboration. So many people affect the way you think. I mean, my thoughts can be affected by how someone's hair is laid, how the set design looks like. I never know who got that idea. Was it me? Was it you? Did you say something? Sometimes I use it. I go, remember what you said? I fixed it. Look, because I want to sell something that I know they're going to be like, what? And I go, did I say that? Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm joking. But, we do affect each other. And this, for me, is the essence of filmmaking. And I love it. The collaboration between departments, everyone coming together, telling the same story. It's the journey. That's why I'm still here after such a long time. It's a beautiful journey every single time.
I know what you mean. Yeah, as I said, my narrative editing experience is limited, but like the same aspect that I love the most is just the collaboration with the director. Like, all of the short films I edited so far involved like hours of just discussing the scenes, and like for me, that's the best part, even though, you would expect that a short film could be edited probably like, a few days, right? But no, we've spent like a lot of time just discussing about those scenes. And for me, that's the most rewarding
thing. And again, and like experimenting. Let's try it. What if we turn everything upside down? Or, it's a great journey. Exploring the art of storytelling through images. I love it. And I think it's important. Yes, I'm lucky. I'm doing big movies. I'm extremely grateful because it allows me to enjoy my work,
Of course.
in a way I didn't imagine before. But I think it's important. I'm not here. I didn't walk into a big movie. I've done everything you're talking about, all the short films, the corporate stuff, the commercials, you go through it, but you have to remember every single situation gives you tools to learn from and to carry into the next project. And so always do your best, don't go like, oh, it's just a little bit, just do your best.
Yeah.
Even if it feels like it's small, but it's never small. You can make it more.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of editing as well. You can make it more.
Step by step. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about like challenges of cutting action, because for me, I kind of like see two ways that most of the action scenes are edited. Like the first one is for me best described in Jason Bourne way, where you have like very, very, very fast cutting action, where two characters are about to exchange like a few punches and you have like 5 cuts in between, right? Average shot duration is probably below 2 seconds. And the other one is actually what David Leitch is doing, right? Where you are trying to include as many action in one shot as possible. And for example, in Atomic Blonde, you kind of have like both of these scenes, where you have scenes that are very fast paced and you have scenes that are like, you can tell that they are choreographed in a very, very deliberate way. So like, what is the difference for you when editing, both these types of action scenes? Like, what are the challenges that like are specific for one or the other?
There's the director decides on the style, really, because they are the ones that they do what they want and they go and shoot it. But I think it's important to know that even something like fast-paced porn, it's choreographed. You know what I mean? It's choreographed. And then Chad Stahelski and David Leitch with 8711, now 87 North, they've taught us the importance of training. So now it's more and more happening that actors are extremely well trained so they can do those long takes. Because, I mean, you still see it sometimes where actors have no training and then they bring in the stunts and then there's a close-up of the actor doing close-up,
Yeah.
And you can say that's one style, but it's also cheap. So working with people that understand the necessity of training vigorously. I mean, John Wick, Atomic Blonde, the amount of training those actors went through was amazing. And then you can do more. Like during the principal photography, you don't have to throw in a stuntman every single time. Of course, there are stunt people, and I love stunt people. They're amazing. Also, even if the actor is really well trained, it's also insurance questions.
Sure.
You can take Charlize Theron and throw her off a balcony because insurance. The whole production would shut down. If anything happened. So I feel blessed working with those highly professional stunt people that know how to shoot it, where is the camera, how do we catch it. But then again, I also have a background in dance, so I understand choreography. And for me, this is like the alpha male dance. Action is an alpha male dance. So it's the same choreography. Everything is choreographed and decided by the team.
Because of the choreography shots and these scenes, are you brought in within production rather than just getting all the footage in post-production?
Usually I just get all the footage, but there are scenes, for example, in Atomic Blonde, which is a testament to David Leitch and how he's so fresh into this, because kind of the film auteur is fading away with Patriarch, but he comes in and he has just this immense understanding of storytelling. He is so knowledgeable about film history. He has the same idea as I do. It's all about cooperation. And he's a clever one because everyone is willing to do what it takes for David Leitch. people will sacrifice themselves, me included, like, because he's just so, he fires you up. He's inspiring and he is collaborative and extremely tolerant to bad ideas. So you know what I mean? Which is the it's the only thing that can bring a good idea is a bad idea. So I really enjoy working with him, and I think that scene in Atomic Blonde is a testament to his craft as a director, how he brought every single department in. Like, they had to get more and more worn down, so makeup and hair and costumes were all over it,
Yeah.
and then edit and visual effects. We were there as well, just to make sure all the stitches would work, because it's like a 14-minute scene. One of the more fun things I've done.
We talk a lot about the importance of the director-editor relationship. Can you talk? And you kind of mentioned it right now with talking with David about how awesome it is. But how did you cultivate that relationship? And then even beyond David, I guess it's the same question. How do you cultivate a good relationship with the director so that you guys can collaborate easily?
So if I understand the question right, so it's how do you collaborate with a director? How do you establish a relationship?
Yeah, how we cultivate that relationship, yeah.
The essence of establishing a relationship with director is honesty for me. I don't lie, I'm not there to lie. I'm there to protect my director and do what I can to make him look good, which, for example, in David Leitch is not necessary, because he just makes us look good. But I'm still there. But I'm still there to protect the movie, his movie or hers, if it's a seat director. But I think honesty is the key, because honesty is also being able to talk about things that don't work, which is a very important part of my job and our jobs, to be able to talk about what's not working and why it's not working.
Yeah.
And someone told this to me. I can't remember who. I think it was an actor. We are talking like 30 years ago. And he said, I don't want to be the person that sits in the premiere party and says, I knew it, when the movie fails. Like, I knew it. So don't be that person. If you think something isn't working, you have to be able to point it out.
Yeah.
And that's not being negative. You can find positive ways to approach it, but you have to approach it, because you're there to fix it. It's your job. So I think honesty is the key for any relationship. It's like life. It doesn't matter. And fight. It's okay to fight for our things. They appreciate if you fight for things in the movie as well.
Oh yeah. If you're not the yes man, that's the way I like to call it. Like, the directors don't want the yes man in the editing room, right? They want someone who will not like protect their ideas, who will not be like egocentric, but who will speak up their mind.
Exactly. I think it's a horrible curse to be surrounded by yes people.
Yeah.
Because, again, filmmaking is about collaboration, but also pushing. I need to be pushed. If I do something and people come in and say, oh, that's great, we're done, I would just get so nervous. Because we also have to know that, like, there are so many ways to go into a scene and decide on it. And not scene, really. Scenes are easy. Scenes are relatively very easy. It's when you have because you have to build the whole movie. And there can be so many ways to go with that, like both pace, story, arc, performances. So I want to be pushed, and I need to push my director. That's my role, push.
Yeah.
But I also need to push. Everyone needs to be pushed. And if you don't get that push, it's going to fall flat.
I wanted to ask you about, like, how do you approach editing dailies? Because, like, I know that some editors have very specific ways they watch dailies and then construct scenes from it, right? For example, Tom Cross, who works with Damien Chazelle a lot, right? He says that he knows the way Damien works, and because of it, he can actually watch dailies from the last take and start constructing usually from one of the like 2 or 3 last takes, he can construct the whole scene, and that's the way he usually does it when they are like under time pressure. So I wonder, like, what is your approach to watching dailies and then constructing your first rough cut of the scene?
I would do the same as him. I construct the scene with the last takes, just like, because I need to get in my mind, like, what am I looking for watching the dailies?
Yeah.
So I will throw it together, and then I will watch everything. I mean, even though I know my director, usually I have a long time relationship with several directors, but I always watch all the takes, because also if you run into trouble and you need something, you can go, oh, I remember we have him silent in this frame or something, so I just need to have that control of knowing my dailies. But I think it's extremely personal how you approach dailies for everyone. No one has the same idea, and that's fine. That's okay. But I'm also very impatient. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do it. And then, but I will watch them all, everything. But yeah, I get super excited. I'm like, oh,
wonderful.
Let's try it. But I also love experimenting. So even if no one asks me, I sometimes try like to turn stuff around or start with the end, to just play around, because I think that's just such a glorious way to play with the material. And I think the material deserves that you experiment with it.
Oh, definitely.
Because there's so much hard work behind that. And you might be cutting out people's blood, sweat, and tears. So you better milk that material so they all shine,
Yeah. For Bullet Train, have you edited it remotely? Because I don't know, do you live in the US right now, or do you live in Iceland?
I've never lived in the US, but I've stayed there for a long periods of time. But obviously COVID changed everything. And I was actually, because of COVID, stuck in Australia for a year. And we were doing Shang-Chi, Marvel's Shang-Chi. And Evan Schiff was gracious and held the fort during principal photography on Bullet Train. And then I arrived mid-February, 2 or 3 weeks left of principal photography, and took over. It was pretty hectic because I had to go through every single scene, like look at all the dailies and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was worth it, because it's been a while since I worked with David because of just logistics. So we were super excited to come together again.
Yeah.
The studio was closed in LA. Everything was closed. And so I was like, oh, everyone works from home. And I was like, hey, home is Iceland. So in the end, I just took a drive. They just said, yeah, whatever, go. Everyone just gave up for it. So I actually just traveled with a hard drive of Bullet Train between countries. So I was partly in Iceland until June, July, working remotely. And then we wanted to go and work together, me and David, in the same time zone, same place. And the studio opened. But we weren't allowed to be in the same room. That's not going to work, is it? So in the end, we rented a house in LA and just lived there and edited during the day and made popcorn and watched movies at night.
Wow.
It was a great setup.
That
sounds amazing.
Sounds like a dream.
With Kelly McCormick, David's wife, who is the producer of Bullet Train. So we actually had such a great time.
I
it was
can
the
believe
perfect
it.
setup.
It sounds like a dream come true.
Yeah, David and Kelly are great people to live with. I recommend it to anyone. They're just amazing. It was and it was such a good setup. So we would come nighttime. It was just like popcorn, movies, TV shows. We watched everything. It was so much fun.
You talking about working in the day and then eating popcorn and watching movies at night. I think that kind of the bane, or at least maybe not the bane, but being a freelance editor, at least I'll speak for my opinion. Like, I work so much, like in the regards to
Yeah.
like wake up, sit down, then maybe I go to bed, and that's like the end of my day. So how is it that you maybe, I don't want to, maybe stuck in that rut, and then at a certain time you're like, I'm not going to work 12, 15-hour days anymore. I'm just going to do 8, and I know what I can get done, and then I'm going to sit down, relax, and then I'll wake up and do, a normal hour, and then commit yourself to just working 5 days a week, and having a life work balance that's much better.
No, it's essential. And I sometimes tell people, like, how are you going to be creative if you don't have a life? Because that's where creativity,
Yeah.
it springs from. So get experiences, live your life. I'm a workaholic. I truly am. But I did pay a huge price for it. I got really sick with stage 4 cancer, and it was mayhem. I got over it. It's gone. I'm fine. But it also just tells you your body isn't, you're not a superhero. You will have to pay.
Yeah.
So take good care. Do take good care. Do the rest. The problem's still going to be there in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just so you know, they made all kinds of, they looked a lot at this in Europe, and they found out 10-hour or 5-hour workday, it's the same productivity.
Yeah, the thing is that people treat creativity as something that exists and that you can use all the time. But in reality, creativity is more like a resource that you have to you have to collect. You have to have time to regrow that resource before you can reuse it,
Yeah.
right? And I think like that's for me like a mindset model that I try to use when thinking about working on my work-life balance. Like when you're taking a break, you're really like working on getting that resource back, creativity back in your the well of creativity, so to speak, or whatever, right?
Yeah, and you just have to rest your brain. It's the old story of doing the dishes when the ideas come to you.
Yeah.
You have to rest your brain. If you're struggling with a problem, take a walk.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
take a walk around the block.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about negotiating rates, because I don't know how it works. Like for me as a freelancer, I always negotiate the rate with my client. Usually, in my case, it's a daily rate. So I wonder how it works for high-end project like the ones you work on. Do you have like a weekly rate? Do you have like a project-based rate, or how does it work for union productions? Do you negotiate your rate? If you do, how do you approach it?
I don't. I do pay an agent to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's very important, because I'm like, I do it. You don't have to pay me. I do it. Work overtime? Yeah, you don't have to pay me. I would be completely run over. So I'm extremely grateful for my agent, Jason.
Yeah.
He takes care of that. And also, so it's a good thing that you are not fighting for rate with the people you work with your director or with your producer. It's good that that's not your thing.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
we never discuss money.
That's a good
But
point.
before, I was 50 years old when I got an agent. So
this was going to be my next question. Like, when do you think like an editor should think about getting an agent? Because like for me, it's definitely too early. But so my question is, when is the right moment?
Again, not an expert, because I do come a bit sideways into the business in America, being born and raised in Iceland, working here. I mean, I just went straight into working feature films in Iceland because we're 300,000. But I did some feature films that did really well, and I did a movie called Reykjavík Rotterdam, directed by Óskar Jónasson, and it was remade in the States, and I was asked to edit it, Contraband. So when I did Contraband, I met with a fellow editor, Dodie Dern, and we got talking, and she introduced me to her agent. I didn't know what the F that was about, I was like, didn't even really understand the role of an agent. So I went to meet them, and it was kind of, if you want to, we want to. But then I didn't hear from them for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a tricky relationship in the sense that you kind of have to bring the projects.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, they are not
And
like
if you
actively
don't,
working on.
it's like, yeah. But I have to say, Holly Jeter, who is an agent at William Morrison at the time, she came with John Wick. When I thought I would never come back to America, she brought John Wick and asked me if I was interested. And I was. So that's how it kind of started rolling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it took
Okay.
a year,
Okay.
nothing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like, would you want to do John Wick?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay.
I've heard it's similar when you're like publishing a book, and like if you go like a traditional route and you have like a publisher, usually they are not really like doing anything to get eyes on your book. Like you have to do the work, you have to do the legwork to if you want to have people actually getting.
I truly appreciate my agency and my agent.
Yeah.
Because they do take good care of you in the sense that if anything goes wrong,
Mm-hmm.
I worked on a project that kind of just collapsed and like woke up to like 300 missed calls from lawyers
My
at the
goodness.
agency, and they actually got it. Took a year, but they did get my money.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's worth it.
That's a good testament to them. Yeah.
It's a shock world out there. It is that. Not that everyone I meet is the nicest person on earth. That's not the problem. But it's a hardcore business.
Yeah.
So even just like how do you negotiate your credit?
Mm-hmm.
It's like science that I don't know about. I don't recognize it.
We need those type of people to like keep us, the creatives, being creative, so they don't have to worry about all the back end legal jargon and whatever black mysterious science that we don't know about.
Yeah, which is kind of like normal stuff, but I think they are actually very creative in their own,
Oh,
own
for sure.
way.
Yeah.
And I enjoy working with them. I truly do. And I think, but when do you get an agent? If you go in and believe that you don't have to put down the work, you're just gonna go get an agent and everything's gonna be upwards, you're gonna get disappointed. Because it's always about the hard work. And you're always judged by your latest contribution. So if you fail, you kind of have to crawl back up. But I think it's just hard work. I also think it's important for people who want to go into feature to find their directors, find someone you believe in, and do their movies. You know what I mean? Like believing that because you will also get there working for someone who makes it. Because you are a big part of their success anyway.
I have someone like that. I have I have a director that I would like really love to work with one day. I don't know if you've seen any of his movies, but his name is Jim Cummings. He made 3 films. The most recent one being the beta test. There is also The Wolf of Snow Hollow and Thunder Road, which was his first feature that he actually created based on a short film that won Sundance Festival.
Thunder Road, I know.
Yeah.
But it's good. Go, grab him. Nothing nasty. Don't get arrested. You know what I mean? But try to establish connection.
Yeah. He's actually a great guy. So
Exactly.
were you always into action movies? Are you enjoying like action movies while you're not working? Like,
yes, I do. I do love, and I've always loved action movies, and probably always will. I do love. Again, I guess it also comes into the dancing. I think just choreography, and I mean what David and Chad did with John Wick, and David along with Atomic Blonde, bring in those tall people. It just every single movement gets different. You know what I mean? It's like it's a completely different dance because both actors and dancers tend to be a bit smaller. So it was kind of so beautiful, bringing just all the movements get longer, and it's beautiful. So yeah, I enjoy it, but it does annoy me that people are pigeonholed, because an editor is an editor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So you can edit whatever, and then you get pigeonholed. I'm actually pretty happy. Just pigeonhole me. I'm fine, because I'm in a pigeonhole that I kind of like doing, and I'm happy
You're
about
fine,
it.
yeah, I get
So
it.
I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll take it. But I think editors can do whatever, and I do. But like in Iceland, I do a lot of very independent small movies, art movies, and I love doing it. It's also very grounding. It grounds you as well to do them,
Yeah.
but it also keeps my sensibilities intact, if that makes sense. So I do love working from home as well. But it's also funny, because then the production or someone comes goes, oh yeah, let's get a European editor, and then you show them something and they go, oh, that's too European, so you have to change it again.
Let me ask you about Bullet Train. Actually, Ricky, I think you are interested in like the aspect of, editing with a lot of characters in the movie, right?
Yeah, without getting too, I mean, just based off of seeing the trailer, you can tell that there are a lot of characters within that film, a lot of really awesome characters. And I had read the book also, which is why I got really excited about seeing the movie. I feel like based on kind of the other movies that you had worked on, maybe in regards to like action films, like this maybe has the most amount of like characters like going on at once, that where the subplots all kind of maybe converge. Yeah. So how is it? I mean, maybe in general, this is just a general question. How do you, as an editor, tackle that type of intricacy or complexity in a story, and putting it all together on the line and whatever, without, making it like, okay, we're just getting the two main characters, then, but then we have all these other people that are also like not scrimping on other people's subplots or whatever, just in general.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of coffee, but the beauty is that you have so many strong characters. It's just not characters, it's like heavy hitting strong characters. So the trick was, it was kind of tricky to balance it so they could all shine without casting shadow, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish I could go more into it, but there's not an embargo on it, but it's just, I don't want to spoil anything.
I get it.
So
Be general.
kind of tricky because you haven't seen it, but yes, it was just bringing everyone together, and not only characters, but they all have their specific story, backstory. So weaving that together, how to make it, like, when are we bringing this character in? When are we bringing this backstory in? We made it, I think.
Yeah, a lot of restructuring during the editing.
There was, yeah. And again, it's not because the script was wrong.
Yeah.
It's just the translation called for a different thing. And because you read the book, you can see it's like chapters where you get introduced to each character. And we felt very, very early on it wasn't working. And what happened when I started to interweave it so they would meet them, like they would meet more organically, where we introduced them, the sense of fate got so much stronger. Like the sense of fate, so that was really amazing.
So excited for this movie. I just got goosebumps thinking about it.
I hope we will not disappoint. That's all I can say. I hope we will not.
I only seen the trailer. I haven't read the book, but man, like it looks like Brad Pitt did like some amazing performance there.
He is so amazing. I think you're gonna see a Brad you've never seen before.
Yeah, I was getting the vibe of like Once Upon a Time in America from him a little bit, but then like mixed with some kind of like crazy comedy thing as well. So
yeah, he is crazy, but there are so many great actors in this movie.
Yeah.
And Joey King is one. She's actually my favorite. She's the bad guy, but still, I like her.
We always ask about recommending something that inspires you. to the listeners. So do you have like, I don't know, it can be a book, it can be a TV show, it can be a feature film, it can be, I don't know, an opera or anything, something that inspires you and you would like to share with others?
I think Russian cinema really affected me.
Mm-hmm.
Films like Come and See, and like with just those hugely emotional big movies. They were my favorite thing, and I think I saw all of Russian movies ever made. They had an amazing film industry. But also I remember when I saw Blade Runner for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think young people don't understand that nothing like it had ever. That's when I decided to become a cinema photographer, because just the look of that movie was so mind-blowing. I remember walking out of the cinema stunned. Before that, I hadn't even considered working in movies or films or TV or anything. We had never seen anything like it. It was a game changer. It really was.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with us or with the listeners? And then, like, what's next for you? Do you have like something that's just around the corner that you can share with us?
I think the most important thing, the only advice I can give is have fun, be brave, and take good care of yourself. I think this is the essence of it, because it's not a fear factory. We're making movies, so you can't be afraid. You can be respectful and you can be humble, but you can't be afraid. Respect is always a good thing, but don't be afraid. And you have to have fun, because if you're not having fun doing it, how can you expect anyone to go to buy a ticket to it? You have to have fun.
Yeah.
So that's important. And take good care of yourself, because
life is short.
Don't burn up. Life is short, and it's not worth that.
Yeah.
It's not. And hello, you can do it without killing yourself. I'm just saying, there shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. I totally get it. And also, like, once you put limits for how long you work and so on, like, people will respect that. Like, I think like a lot of people are afraid that if they don't edit like 14 hours a day, they will get fired, and I don't know, or someone will think badly about them. But actually, the contrary is true.
Yeah, but I think it's already been calculated. You edit no more than a minute a day.
Yeah.
That's what you do. It's a minute a day, people.
Yeah.
We can do it without losing sleep.
Love it, Elisabet. Like, we are so grateful that you joined the show.
I'm so happy to meet you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. And that's it. I think my favorite part was the one about editor being a translator. Yeah. That's something that I have been thinking for a long time. Some people think that if you have a great director, a great script, a great cinematographer, it's quite easy, and almost anyone could edit that movie, right? Right. But that's not the reason why a director is choosing an editor. He is looking for a translator for his film that will be able to translate his vision to the audience, right? And that's not as easy as it seems from the outside. It's about making choices sometimes that are like counterintuitive, like deciding that a great performance doesn't fit in the story, for example. Something like that is something that the translator can see, like the impact of how people are gonna read that aspect of the film, right? In the macro image. And her explanation of that aspect was wonderful. I loved it. It's gonna stay with me for a long time.
Yeah, and I like the that little detail about how once she starts editing, she barely or rarely refers back to the script. Like, she's more concerned about, okay, I've got this footage. True. How am I translating this story now with these images? Yeah. Which I thought was really interesting. It's very encouraging to hear when these larger, I want to say big time editors come in and they're like, we did the same things that you did. We worked on the corporate stuff. We worked on the short films. We worked on pretty much everything that you did until, we got our big break, or somebody took a chance on us and the door opened up and we got in. So that's always super encouraging to hear. It just, makes me more excited as I work my way along this editing path, as over dramatic as that sounds. But yeah, there was a lot of great things that Elisabet said, and it was awesome. And I think that there was another thing that she said too that I thought was also encouraging, which we've talked about on this podcast, was that like every situation you're in regards to like a project or whatever always has a value, and that no matter what it is, it's giving you tools that you can that you can use in the next project. So that's also super encouraging to hear other well-known editors saying the same thing that we are also saying.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that's our episode for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Thank you, Elisabet, for joining us for this wonderful conversation. Thank you to our sponsor, Riverside. If you want to replace Zoom with something better, just go to cuttothepoint.com/Riverside, and there will be a discount connected to this link. So, next time, there will be another great name from the industry, or there will be just us. And probably it's just going to be us. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye. Next time. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day.
If you like what you've heard, please rate, review, or subscribe on whatever platform you've listened to this on.
Your reviews help other editors to discover the show, and tell your friends.
Also, if you have any questions or comments, leave us a message at SpeakPipe. There's a link in the description, or email us at podcast@cuttothepoint.com.